Can you hear it? Welcome to Relay.
There. Ha.
You do have some cropping issues with the video.
Nope.
too?
It's fixed. It's fixed. It's
Cool.
fixed. It's all fixed. Look, I'm on top of things. Okay. How's audio? Eric?
Hello. Welcome,
Hello.
everybody. Thank you all for coming to watch us be silly, because that's generally what we do.
All right. I have an intro.
So, you have an intro. I was wondering why you were so quiet there for a while.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, is Eric a bit soft? Okay, let me just do this. There. That should fix things. Eric?
David sounds like he's in a fishbowl.
Do I?
Not to me, but maybe to them.
Let me check that. I rather dislike sound.
Audio?
Audio. Audio is...
audio and networking are the worst things around.
Like, it just changes all the time. And it's like, Why?
Yeah. Well, Windows loves to reset audio devices, which is great. Darge says, there you go. You just had to talk into the mic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the mic's over here. Sorry. Okay. Right. Join us for the turnips, those most worthless of vegetables, tasteless and formless, profane and not edible. Is it a root or is it just evil alone rutabaga, or is it the sequel? A vast real conspiracy arrayed against things that are born in the ground, ground beneath potatoes, the king of their mound. Potatoes fried, potatoes mashed, potatoes baked, potatoes mashed. Fret not the toes and think of those lesser root vegetables. Hey, I'm David and this is Eric. Welcome to the Relay Station.
Welcome, everybody, to Beam Citizen.
I mean, we did get confirmation directly from CIG that this is Beam Citizen. 100%. It can't be argued against anymore.
Nope.
Is that where we're starting? Are we starting with Beam Citizen?
It's all beams all the way down.
You know, okay, fine. If we're going to do this, here we go. Every single video game just about ever made is press W and left click, and that's it. That's all you ever do in any game on a PC is like
sometimes you press A, S, and D.
It's occasionally, but like I don't know.
Was there a point to that statement?
No, not really. I think about it sometimes of like, do you ever have those, you're sitting there and you're playing a game and it's maybe not the greatest game and you're playing it, but you're like, I bought this, I better, get my money's worth out of it, sort of thing. And you're like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just sitting here, left clicking on a thing. What am I doing with my life?
I definitely have those. I definitely have those moments. And it's always when I'm playing a game that's not very good.
It's not that great. And you're like,
I'm gonna stop playing this now.
Yeah, like why am I doing this? But I guess I should change that. Final change.
Mean, I've been working on it. For a while, kind of hit it in some of the recent streams. Also kind of worked on my accent a little bit. Yeah. Otherwise, exactly the same.
So here's a funny thing about people saying that it's Beam Citizen, right? And there are a couple different beams, but tractor beam, mining beam, salvage beam, healing beam, I guess, right? But when you think about
cutting beam,
but like when you think about beams in sci-fi, what you think about are beam weapons, and we don't have beam weapons.
We've heard they're possibly going to be added, but we don't actually have beam weapons at the moment. No.
So it can't actually be Beam Citizen until they add beam weapons for your ship.
And then we can officially change the title of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, none of it really bothers me. They do a really good job of actually differentiating the beams quite a bit. Like salvage beams are quite a bit different than a mining beam, for example. And even mining beams, they have a whole bunch of different appearances depending on what you do with them, like what attachments you're using and so on. There's only so many ways to do sci-fi stuff. we kind of, there's only so much you can do.
What? Okay, you don't. Let's look at it this way. Tractor beam is obvious. There's no getting around a tractor beam, right?
You can do
So
mining differently, but it's basically down to your ye olde pickaxe at that point.
yeah. But like salvage, how do you want to like have to get out and like use a screwdriver and take off all of the rivets? You know?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know.
I like it. I
Well,
know I'm pretty happy with how they've done it. I'm sure that
What-
they will try and figure out other things other than beams that they can use, but
Well, we already know some of the things other than beams that they're going to use, right? The reclaimer has the grabby arm that's going to grab things and munch them.
Yep.
That's not a beam. Darj, you mentioned the Orion. Well, when we actually got like the Orion concept came along with with mining, like a mining document, and in
There's
that
actually-
document,
the Orion is a really good example of how you can do things a little differently because it has basically a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah.
It has drones. It has the missiles that you launch to break up the asteroids. It has a tractor beam. It has the big, and then it has the big crunchy mouth at the front of it.
yeah, everything's beams right now because honestly, beams are easy.
Yeah.
Right.
They are easy
Beams-
to implement in terms of like dev time.
Yep. It's really easy to implement a beam. Hey, look, here's some fancy graphics for the beam, and the beam does X. Done. We don't have you don't have to have working machinery on the ships. You don't have to do anything else. And to get tier 0 and tier 1 like implementations of these gameplay loops, beams. But we do also like right now you heal with a healing beam, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we also, I believe we saw in Death of a Spaceman, like, that's not going to be the only way to heal things eventually, right?
The Vulture has a munching wheel. I didn't know the Vulture had a muncher.
They said that in the episode today, actually.
Oh,
Or this week's episode.
did I miss part of it?
Possibly.
missed it.
They mentioned that the Vulture can... And yeah, you can stab people with the drugs, but I think eventually you're going to be able to do more targeted, like, local area healing, like...
That needs to be a fan trailer for Star Citizen. Stab people with drugs.
Do you want to heal them? Stab them with drugs. Do you want to kill them? Stab them with drugs. Do you want to make a friend? Stab them with drugs.
Exactly.
Drugs.
Exactly.
They're the stabbiest.
Beam Citizen.
Citizen, stab the drugs directly to your balls.
Oh man.
There's a drug for that. Did you miss us?
I mean, they must have missed us. They're the best.
Oh god. I don't know.
Also, welcome Mazer as well.
Hey Mazer.
And welcome to everybody else.
Welcome everyone.
So should we do some show and tell? We got 2 weeks worth of it.
Yep, I think I wanted to talk a little bit about because we haven't actually done a show since 318 went live.
No, we missed last week.
So I feel like we should probably talk a little bit about 318 and the stability problem. I know that I mean CIG themselves apologized, which is something that they don't do often. They don't need to do often, but they apologized for the state of 318, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I'd also like to say that I like it's funny because I think the Diablo 4 early access beta happened the same weekend that 318 went live, and Blizzard had to apologize because nobody could get into Diablo 4 the beta.
You know what's really funny about that? Way back in the day, me and my buddy, when we wanted to play Diablo 2. The night of launch, we were gonna this was the deal, right? We went and bought the game. We were gonna play all night.
Yep.
And the big complaint then, way back then, which is like what, 21 years ago or something,
Yep.
was their login servers were down for like 4 hours
Yep.
while people tried to log in.
I still
It's
remember
been going on forever.
well, World of Warcraft. Like I bought World of Warcraft and jumped in day one, and I think it was almost like 4 days to a week before you could like fish.
Yep.
Before you could do so many things because it was broken.
I actually I knew a lot about that one because I was working for a WoW fan site at the time. You know, hey, look at me. But it was really funny because like Blizzard had done their market research and they're like, so if we're really lucky, probably like we'll probably get like 300,000 or 400,000 users for World of Warcraft. Because no Western MMO had ever done better than 250,000 users. 250,000 users was it. That was EverQuest. That was the best it had. That was as good as it got. And they sold like a gajillion copies. They had lineups around the street at video game stores to buy World of Warcraft. I remember this awesome anecdote from one of the developers who was at like one of the signing events and he's autographing all these copies of World of Warcraft. And he's like, I was there for a couple hours and then I went outside to look around and there was a line that wrapped around the store 4 times. And he's like, I went back inside and I just told my coworkers, we're fucked. It's game over. We're screwed. Oh.
But it's I want to bring this up because like
so funny.
WoW was a release and it released like shit. Diablo is a beta and it released like crap. Like many, Star Citizen is still an alpha. 3.18 is live, and you know why it's live? It's because they couldn't get enough testing in PTU to find these problems. They put it on PTU. We played it repeatedly on PTU. It was running for everyone. And they're like, okay, we're going to go live because it's working on PTU. And then it broke on live because all of a sudden they've got hundreds of thousands of people trying to log on instead of tens of thousands. And the thing that I really want people to understand is we're here to test and to help the game get better. We are not entitled to a good experience right now, quite frankly. It's great when it is. It's great when the gameplay works, but don't expect it. Don't expect all of your shit to work. Don't expect to be able to buy something. Don't expect it to be there when you log in the next day. Don't expect anything to work because nothing works. It's still an in-progress game.
Yep.
And I'd really like people to stop getting pissy about Star Citizen not working. Like, speak about it, say, hey, this isn't working. CIG will acknowledge they're working on fixing it, but don't get all like, oh my god, this is the worst, CIG suck, and like verbally abusive to a bunch of developers because you're having a hissy fit because, I don't know, you've got problems. And yeah, anyway.
Yes, be nice.
We're here to help CIG make the best game possible, and we can't do that if we're attacking CIG for trying to make a good game.
Yep. Honestly, there's a lot of games out there. Even if you're not super interested in the alpha thing and doing all the testing and everything, step away for a week or two and then go back. Like it'll be fixed. They know. It'll get there. But you're right. The reason they put it live this time was they had put out calls for lots of like more testers in PTU, and they got as many as they got. And then they're like, "Well, it's working now. We'll see." We don't, they're like, "We don't know how it's going to go when it goes live," and it went live and it fell flat in its face. But you got to remember that we knew this. We knew 318 was a massive change to the game,
Yep.
and that it was likely to be rocky.
This is
Um,
this is like the
319
biggest change
319, by the way,
since.
actually 319 is not going to be as bad. But whenever we get the first iteration of server meshing, it's going to be the same deal. It'll be broken and
Yeah.
like really broken, and then they'll have to fix it again.
Darsh,
Oh,
isn't that Dragon Quest in Japan? Don't they have to launch like nobody works in Japan when Dragon Quest games launch? I seem to remember reading about that. Anyway,
They did. They had to hand out so many free play time things for WoW in the first couple months. Because I think, if I remember correctly, they had launched with some like 20 servers for WoW,
and
and
no one could get in.
they ended up needing like 90 to 100, and they ran into problems with like, how do you get that many? Like, there were physical servers with like, they were actual physical servers, not these days where it's all just virtual servers. They were having issues simply with getting the hardware fast enough.
Yeah,
Like, it's a lot of hardware.
I really love that statement, Darsh, because it's absolutely correct. And I think that CIG are honestly selling a lot of these patches short by having them 3.17, 18, 19, right? Like 318 is a fundamental change in how the game works, and anywhere else that would be like a milestone release, but they're not doing a milestone release until server meshing, so 318 is just another patch, but it's not. 318 is not just another patch. It's
huge.
Yep.
I mean, the full implication of it, with the cargo refactor and the well, what it's named at PS, what it's named after, the persistent entity streaming, like, that's massive. It completely changes the nature of the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I wanted to have a little rant about that because
And hey, props to CIG for actually, like, they put out stuff about it all week,
Yep.
or for the last 2 weeks, almost. They had a little bit on ISC about it. It was good.
They have been like very open about the problems and what they're doing to fix it, and that there will be like a moratorium or like a review at the end to explain to everyone what went wrong, what happened. Like, they're not. I don't. I feel like I saw some people being like, if they're gonna fix it. Oh, if they, like, of course they're gonna fix it. Like, I can't understand that sentiment of
It's broken
like,
forever.
Yeah. So props to CIG for for not taking a break. Honestly, I don't think they've had.
I think they've been going pretty hard.
Yeah. So give them a break and support them.
Mm-hmm. Let's watch some fun videos.
Yeah, let's watch some videos. Here we go. Over to here. Right. So this is last week's ISC episode. This gave me like seizures.
Darge. No, this is how SC is from now on. Ship it. Now going to Star Citizen 2.
I've seen other games that have done that, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
So
a long history of my life in gaming is I was I worked on a fan site for X. Well, I built a fan site, my own fan site, my first site that I ran myself for Star Trek Birth of the Federation. Very long, very old game. And the story of that game was that it was broken on release, and people were so pissy about it that the devs put out one patch, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're done. We're not going to patch it anymore. Bye." And that was it.
Yep.
It was just like great. This there's so many awesome clips in here. Jeez.
I want to say that I really like what ISC has been doing with the videos, and they've been finding like fun ways of showing things off, like the poop explosion a couple weeks ago. Another thing, I know that little clip there where the guy's like on his knees saying no, whatever, is like a wheat collecting joke. They're not going to be doing wheat collecting in Star Citizen, and I counter that with I want wheat collecting in Star Citizen. I want a mission where you show up and the mission giver's like, yeah, we need 400,000 wheat,
and
here's a combine harvester, and you get to drive a combine harvester around collecting wheat.
I want them to hand you a laser scythe that's like a lightsaber.
Yeah.
You gotta go to work. This is very delicate wheat. You can't use a combine. You gotta use your laser scythe.
It's not a lightsaber, it's a light scyther.
That's right. Oh, also please put on this black robe.
Okay, so Eric, I genuinely need a hand here because I watched this 2 weeks ago and I genuinely don't remember most of what they were talking about in this episode of ISC.
Okay.
I remember it being really good, but I think my brain needs a kick.
So they were talking about modules, right? So building mission modules that can be attached together and have a bunch of points in them, like specific spots in which they can branch off into other modules. And a lot of these clips are just funny clips that they can put in the middle where of the stuff that they're talking about. Obviously the box walking around is talking about delivery missions. There's a whole bunch of talking here as well about bounty missions, which is where you see a lot of the shooting. Also, where you get the amazing clip of the guy being put into the Avengers prison cell, which I quite enjoy. But yeah, they're basically talking about how basically creating modules that are like modular missions, which have a whole bunch of different parts to them, and then sending them out to designers, and they can just fill in like the fields, like what do I want this mission to be? So who gives it? Where does the player have to go? How much of whatever do they need to do? Time frames, so on and so forth, and also opportunities to branch off into other modules. So for example, you could have a bounty hunting mission, and when you get to the location, maybe like it would turn into a package delivery mission because all of a sudden you find a package of drugs or something. Things like that.
So, and I know there's a lot to this, and they talked about a couple different ways that they're working on this, and like all the different steps and the wrappers and the different loops and modules and things. Mm-hmm. And I the thing that I was wondering this whole time is, like, right now, this is all like they're building these modules for different aspects of missions, and then designers can say, oh, I want to start with this module, and then I want this one to hook in. I want to start with a delivery, but then it turns into a bounty mission, and then it turns back into delivery, and then it turns into something, and then we end, right? So a designer takes all of these different modules and puts them all together, which creates the whole long mission. Mm-hmm. Which, great, cool. What I'm wondering is, at some point, are they going to be able to build this out to the point that it doesn't need a designer, and it's
always been the intention.
Quantum, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the idea would be that Quanta picks all of these different modules and fills in. Here's the spot. Here's the this. Here's the this. Attach it to this module. Here's the and it's all procedurally generated, and the missions
Yep.
procedurally generated.
Totally. That's the idea. Is that right? This is always sorry. I interpreted this as a now thing. Is like
Yeah.
this is what they're doing right now. We are well aware, and we've heard over the years that they do intend for the probability volumes and the entire quantum system to basically run this for generic missions, right? Like the your average everyday mission. I suspect it will also work very similar for how players create missions, where they'll basically have basically this exact same thing, but on like a front facing player type of thing, where you can be like, where do you want the mission to start? What do you want them to do? So on and so forth. Um, I actually really love the idea of player created missions. I think it's going to be interesting. Um, but anyway, I kind of going off topic there. But.
No, it's good, and I think we haven't heard very much about Quanta in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I really hope we get an update on where Quanta's at soon, because that's the next. Like, we know that they've got it's still being fixed, but we know that they've figured out persistent entity streaming. I think they did they say that they've actually got some aspects of server meshing in?
No,
I thought they had. No?
that was PES.
No, I thought they had some aspects of server meshing in, but I could be completely wrong. But like we know,
I don't know what aspects of server meshing you're talking about. I mean, all of these things have been leading up to server meshing for a long time. They're all required. Like PES is required for server meshing.
right? But they can do different levels of server meshing, right?
Yeah, well, there's like 3. One is the static server meshing with like a single server per system, which wouldn't really improve the current situation that much, except that they could add pyro. If you know what I'm saying. Then it would be multiple servers per system, which then would be sort of up to them how many servers they wanted per system. And then the next step would be dynamic server meshing, which is the real fun one, and probably a ways away.
Oh, I'm sorry, Darsh. That's painful.
Oh, it's that day. It's that day for you guys over there, Darge. I'm sorry. We already had that happen to us a little while ago. But no, to the best of my knowledge, they haven't actually been able to successfully test server meshing yet. But I could be wrong too.
They know how they're going to do server meshing.
They do now.
It's probably going like it's still going to be a lot of tech for them to figure out, but I don't have any worry that they're not going to be able to do it.
No, especially with static. Like static server meshing is, and you can make. I've said this many times, but you can make the full Star Citizen game with just static server meshing. Basically, it would just come down to it costs more to run, like by server costs, than dynamic does. But you can do it with static server meshing. So it's sort of I'm sure they're going to continue and press on to dynamic, but it's not a game changer for players, I don't think.
Yeah. And Darge, with fewer people per server, but still they could do like one server for each planetary area and then another server for the solar system, all the in-between bits, and that would, even just doing that would probably allow like a 10-fold increase in players, right?
if there were like, yeah, if there was one server for the Microtech system, one server for the Crusader system, one server for the, Hurston system, um, and so on, and one for the ArcCorp system, and then one for all of Stanton to run the rest of it. So that's what, 5?
Yeah.
You would already be in way better shape than you are right now.
Yeah. So I'm not worried
yeah.
about server meshing. They're going to get server meshing working.
Yep.
We haven't heard about Quanta in so long that I think Quanta is the last thing that I'm worried about.
I'm not really worried about it because it's already in the game.
To an extent, but
we need to know.
We need to know the full extent that they are going to be able to get. Like they've told us the full extent of what they're going to be. They think they'll be able to do for server meshing, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've been quiet on. Honestly, the only reason they've been quiet on Quantum is because Tony Zervek hasn't been in front of a camera in a while.
Yeah.
As soon as he is, you'll hear from him, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like when you think about it, that's we're 2 things away from Star Citizen, really.
Yep.
Right? We need, like, from on the tech side, server meshing, and then Quanta working, and everything else is just adding content. And content can take time. That is the fundamentals of the game. Everything else can come.
Yep. Yeah, the core tech of the game will be done with those 2 things in terms of like. Yeah. Sorry, those 2 broad categories, I should say. So they're getting there. Obviously, it's taken longer than all of us wanted to, but especially CIG, I'm sure they would have preferred to be done at this point. But we've said it forever, but it is true. They're really pushing the limits of the possible with this game, so it takes some time to do those types of things.
Nascavian, yeah. Well, dynamic server meshing, hopefully, isn't actually as far out as you might think, because I think they said that they want static. They want to be able to do static server meshing later this year. Q3, Q4.
That's the hope.
They're hoping for static server meshing, which would allow Pyro, right?
Yeah.
The dynamic server meshing, yeah, that's still probably.
They've been talking about the road to 4.0 for a while. You can't do 4.0 without a static server mesh.
No,
can't happen. It doesn't work. So they're kind of at a bit of a standstill in terms of like physical play space until they get server meshing online.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about the modularity for the missions? I think it's good. I'm excited to see it done via Quanta rather than via like handcrafted by developers. But It would also be nice to see it being able to be used in some way by players.
Absolutely. I don't have any big thoughts on it. None of the mission stuff was like super groundbreaking. It's stuff we've heard about for a long time. They're just more like further along with it. It's making lives easier for designers right now. So yeah, not a lot of thoughts on it. It's nice to see that go further. I'm really excited for big multi-part missions too. I can't wait to pick up like some delivery mission and have it turn into like a crusade as you try to like chase down somebody. Be fun.
I would say that I actually believe that PES is the tougher part than static server meshing, at least. I think dynamic is going to be harder, but
I think the big step for static is separating the
The replication layer.
thank you.
No problem.
I knew it was an R word. I was having a bit of a moment there. Separating the replication layer.
Many games have already done
Oh,
static server meshing. It's more or less a known quantity. Persistent entity streaming is not something that I think any game has ever done.
yeah. Static server meshing is definitely an achievable goal. And it's not. Their biggest problem is that they need. Their biggest problem is the play space. Their play space is stupidly huge. It's been their problem for a long time. It's not really a problem so much as this is the type of game you want to make, right? You want to
Yeah.
make a universe game. Well, it's you have to basically be able to take all of the information for that huge play space and duplicate it across servers. And that's like with it, they've sort of we've heard some rumblings. I believe that they have downgraded their goals a little bit, where the first iteration of server meshing will only have one server per system, which is a very basic implementation of server meshing. The really hard part of like not the really hard part, but they are leaving one of the hard bits for the next iteration, which is having two servers trying to run the same system at the same time. Now they will probably run different parts of the system, but they still need to share the same like basic information, right, about the player and where things
Yeah.
are and so on.
And be able to hand off, and also
Yeah.
like things other than the player have to be able to pass through, right? Because one of the things that they talked about years and years and years ago was
yeah, totally.
you have to be able to shoot from server to server.
Yep.
So
you can't have weird fake walls in the game.
yeah. Anyway, they're making progress. It's
Yep.
I think last year was a phenomenal year for Star Citizen, and I think this year is going to be better.
I don't know. I think this year might be a bit of a struggle because they have so much tech stuff this year. We'll see how it goes. I think it'll be a good year if you can think of it in the way like the technical aspects. I think the gameplay was so good last year. Like the game worked really well most of the year. This year the game is going to have some periods where it doesn't work very well.
I never think of the gameplay first. I'm always thinking of the progress towards Star Citizen as a good year. Like the more progress we get towards Star Citizen, that's what a good year is. To me. But
That's fair.
all right,
okay,
let's go back.
Move on
Yeah.
to
Let's look at this week. Where's this week?
this week, please.
Sorry, I gotta resize these a little bit. There. Tractor beams.
Wow, you started midway through, hey? I probably should have numbered the videos. That would have been smart.
Yeah, I clicked the first one alphabetically. Sorry.
Oh man, but this is fine. So this is about being able to now pull items off of item ports with tractor beams, which is super cool.
I am so incredibly excited for this. This is the start of engineering gameplay, really, of being able to swap out stuff on the fly. But also, I know you've played it, Eric, and I don't know if anyone else in chat has played it, but you really should. Let me just confirm, it is on Game Pass. For anyone that has not played it,
Yep,
this is on Game Pass. Hard Space Shipbreaker.
Yep.
This is Hard Space Shipbreaker.
To an extent, it's missing a lot of other stuff, but yes, there are definitely big parts of this that are hard space
Shipbreaker.
There's too many, so many words, David.
Hard name tongue twister.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, I find this so interesting and so fantastic and so like, wait, okay, so we've got soft death now, so I'm in a battle with someone and I can knock out their engines and they're floating and I can actually float up to them and shoot them in the face so they're dead, and then I can scavenge the parts of their ship.
Yep. See, that's the thing that really came to my mind. Like you went to the engineering place. My brain went, man, they just got salvage online in like the very basic version, and now you get a whole nother version of salvage right away, which is actually salvaging ship components.
Well, now you
Which is
can do
amazing.
both, right? Because we've done a little bit of salvage in 318 PTU, and it's great. You show up to a
Mhm.
ship, you erase it, you beam it, and then you move on. But
Yep.
this is the start of, no, you don't just beam it and move on. You show up, you find it, you hop out of your ship, you float over there, you examine that ship, you find, oh, wait, this weapon is still usable. I'm going to grab that. You know?
Also, there's a lot of things that come with that too. It's like you need to be able to fly your ship better because you need to be able to pull up really close and open your back hatch so that you don't have to go back and forth a bunch of times. You can just like use the tractor beam to fire things into your.
And you're more vulnerable because you're getting
Oh,
out of
yeah.
your ship to, like, this. I don't think it, like, I don't want to understate how important this is for gameplay.
Oh, it's huge. This is one of those things that they were like, oh, we just kind of got this as a side thing, but it's a huge thing.
This is not side. This is the, like, I would rather have this as salvage than what we have as salvage. This to me
Totally.
is more impressive as salvage than salvage is. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, I'm really glad for everybody actually who just plays Star Citizen that we all of a sudden got this big new piece of gameplay content, because it's
Also, just for full clarity, we are saying we got this. This is not out yet. This is coming in 319.
Yep.
But sorry, continue.
Yes, if anybody is if anybody is been a little confused about what I'm talking about, yeah, this is all stuff that's coming with the next major patch, which is probably a couple months away.
Oh no, we know, Darj. Like, they've been talking about how this was going to happen eventually for a long time, but we just got tier 0 of salvage. I don't think anyone expected to get this, which is like not tier 0 of salvage. This is much higher level already. I didn't.
It's like,
yeah.
I don't think it's something that we really understood was coming this soon. That's all.
Mhm.
And of course, because it's also like, it's not just salvage, as you're saying. Like, it has other impacts. You can use this in an engineering sense too, or to fix your ship, repair sense.
Well, this clip right here I love because it shows, like, these people are using a mole for mining, but they've also brought along a cutlass that has all of the different mining heads in it, and they land their cutlass, they swap out the heads to deal with what they need to mine, and then, like, it that's so interesting.
Yep. It's really cool.
Actually, you know what, okay, and I might be like reaching here because I don't know if you'll actually be able to do this, but Eric, remember a couple of weeks ago we were flying in the PTU and we were in like an Idris battle and we both got soft death, right?
Yep.
Well, in theory, this ability means that you've got soft death. You could hop out of your vehicle and find another ship in close proximity that has whatever component is dead on your ship, And you
This
could
is
bring your
why-
ship back.
That's what that's what I'm really looking forward to, like better, and maybe some of this is in there yet, and I just haven't been exposed to it as much. But um, like better scanning capabilities. Like I would love to, my ship's shut down. I would love to be able to get really good information about what's wrong with it. Um, and then I do think that it plays really heavily too into the whole, as you're talking about, the whole survival type gameplay. Like it'd be amazing to crash your ship on a planet somewhere, and you go into basically survival mode, but you can actually fix it because you find other wrecks, and you're like, oh, I needed a freaking, I needed a like a power core. I can't
Yeah.
remember what the actual term is for it right now, but um, and you find one on another derelict ship, and you can just haul it back and plug it in, and off you go. That'd be so
You,
cool.
you could also get a friend to show it, like once you can scan your ship and say, oh, and yeah, Darj, you're right. Like we can't fix the connections between things yet. That'll come eventually, whatever. But let's say it is your shield generator that's broken, right? Or you've got and I don't think this works on thrusters yet, but I would really like to see this work on thrusters. But like you've got a couple of thrusters that are
it'd be amazing. It would be amazing if you could pop off your toast thrusters and plug in some new ones. That would be
right.
so cool. Because that's a very common
I'm
issue with flying. Like a very, very common issue with flying is like you're like, well, my ship is technically mostly intact, but I'm missing half the thrusters.
Yeah.
It's hard
I'm
to
pretty
fly.
sure the pipes. I'm pretty sure the pipes can get destroyed. I could be wrong. I haven't played enough, but I think they can. But yeah, like if you can be like, oh shit, my shield generator's dead. Eric, can you go buy me a shield generator for an Ares and fly it out to me so that I can like just patch up my ship?
Totally. Also, I
And
like.
not-
Do you like my insurance fraud clip?
I do. I do like that they've already thought of this. People
Mhm.
spawning in their ship, taking all the stuff off it, blowing up their ship, selling the stuff, and claiming for insurance. I like that those people are deemed criminals right now. I would actually like, and this is, I mean, I'm thinking of this, and as I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of saying this is going way too like deep into things, and as I'm thinking that I'm about to say this is going way too deep into things, I'm also going to say that means that this is exactly what CIG are going to do, which is you don't actually become a criminal for doing this, but each time you do it, it increases the chance that the insurance companies find out about you. And then one, they won't insure you anymore. And two, they might send insurance adjusters out to get you and recover their
Insurance
adjusters. Yeah. Seriously though, I actually don't think that this should be dealt with in the standard legal system. I think this should be the insurance companies dealing with it themselves. I think that'd be interesting.
Oh wow, I love it. That's such a great idea. I love that idea. You get just chased around the verse by your insurance company.
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh man,
I love it.
it's so good.
We've got a couple more clips here. What's next? Where's the next one?
What's the next one called?
Well, I've got sci-fi hijinks, tractor-based future, and final notes left.
Oh, okay. So we have like half the episode left.
Yeah.
Got it. Sci-fi hijinks is the first clip from this episode.
Okay, we're doing that one. Doesn't this look so pretty? Also,
It's Star Citizen. It's gorgeous.
It is.
The only thing that I think that they need to work on, and I'm sure they think they need to work on it too, is landscapes that are really far away look really flat right now. But I also think that they're going to fix it because they've been constantly improving the graphics in this game forever. So I'm not worried about it.
a couple things that I'm remembering from this episode that I liked that I want to talk about might be in future clips, but I like how they were talking about different size and different manufacturers of tractor beams. I think that the hand tractor beam should actually be really limited in the weight that it can deal
Well,
with.
which one? Because they're gonna have multiple now.
No, like the small one, like the mini.
Yeah.
Like the multi-tool one that can go on your hip. I think you should have like a large tractor beam that can do a lot more, but it takes up one of your like weapon slots. I think that's a great idea. But I think there's a clip here of it. I don't know what it's called. I'll just check this one, and if it's not, I'm going to talk about it anyway.
Can you imagine showing one of these clips to us like 4 years ago? We'd lose our shit. We would.
Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you imagine like 8 years ago hearing that there's going to be like all of this in Star Citizen? It's insane.
Hey, there's the big tractor beam gun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
At one point in one of the clips in this episode, they show the tractor beam like moving around in Aurora and throwing it, and I don't like that. I don't think
that's not the handheld one. That's the big one.
I don't even think the big one should be able to move in Aurora. All right.
They said only small ships. It's fine. What they hid in here and blew me away. Maybe maybe I'm just out to lunch and I forgot. But is this one of the first times we've actually seen them attached cargo to the cargo grid of the Hull C?
Yeah.
That's freaking cool.
It's also the first time we've seen a ship-to-ship tractor beam.
That's the SRV, yeah. That's
but I don't think
right? The SRV?
Yeah, but I don't think we've seen it like working before, right?
I don't even think it's really working there. That beam was static. It's not. I think it was faked in Photoshop, but
of course, but like
but they're they got the idea going there.
Here's the clip. Yeah, attaching to a Hull A works, but the Hull C is
Yeah, it was mostly the Darges, mostly the scale that I was sort of there's the Aurora clip.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey Dan. I'm really excited for tractor beams. Okay.
Hulsey's gonna be such a monster when it finally gets in there.
Eric, can you talk for like a minute and 12 seconds? I'll be right back. And then I've got something I want to talk about.
Got it. All right, let's see what I can see here. So I'm really excited for the Reclaimer. I can't wait to see its chompers actually chomp something. It's going to be so much fun to feed ships into that thing. Also, whoever makes the clips for ISC, bravo, because God, these are just gorgeous in this episode. All of the shots of the Hull C are just great. Hey Dan, how's it going? We have talked about component stripping. We were really excited about it. The huge advancements that makes for gameplay is just amazing. Oh, that's a great idea. I will do that. Just a moment. I'll grab the file for the Vulture commercial and I'll send it to him. Just a moment, folks.
Oh, you're gonna make me do things?
Yep. They would like you to play another video. Specifically, Darge would like you to play another video.
I see that. Darge. Before we do that, I wanted to talk about tractor beams. Here, I'm actually gonna. Well, we've got one more clip from this, so I'm gonna play that. Yep. So I think we know how it's gonna work at this point. I think the abduction beam will be real at some point. Yeah,
Oh, totally. Totally.
on a large enough ship.
Yep.
But so here's the thing that actually the abduction. Let's use the abduction beam actually because this I love that beam citizen clip. An abduction beam is actually a great point to make here because one of the things that seems like CRG are doing, which let's be clear is vastly different than Chris Roberts' last game, which was Freelancer, is everything's going to be yes.
I have thrown a link in there for you.
Got it.
And there is the Drake Filter commercial. Sorry, folks.
Give me a minute or two to download it and figure it out. While I'm doing that, I wanted to talk just a little bit here about tractor beams because as they work right now, no tractor beam that we know of in the game would actually work as an abduction beam. Because abduction beams in like classical sci-fi grab person from ground, pull them up, and pull them directly into the ship. No tractor beam from any ship pulls objects directly into the ship. It'll pull it closer to the tractor beam. The question is going to be like, and I think that this is actually going to require possibly a bit of a rethink on CIG's part for certain ships, because there are certain ships that should be able to do this, but like, I'm thinking maybe like a caterpillar. A caterpillar should be able to open up all its doors and have tractor beams on the insides of those doors that grab things from the outside and move them in and place it. Grab and place. Grab and place. Right? Because one of the problems is if you look at lots of ships, they're going to have tractor beams, but those tractor beams are often going to be mounted at the front of the ship, and you're going to be able to tractor something closer, and then you're going to what? Have to get out of your ship, EVA to it, grab it, bring it back around to the back and put it into the cart. That's going to be such a pain in the ass. And it's honestly going to, I think, make people not want to do that aspect of it. So when you beat someone else's ship, you're just going to put a beacon saying, here's a ship here. Someone pay me for the salvage rights. I'm going to go and do something else. Right?
Thank you, Darge. I wasn't sure if the Cutlass still had that beam on its tail, because it does have one that can do that.
And the Cutlass is, I think, the only one that I know of that does. But I think more ships
I remember way
need
back
that.
in the day when they were so proudly showing off the deployable beam from the back of the Cutlass.
But more ships need that, is what I'm saying. Like, it can't just be the Cutlass.
The Caterpillar is a really good example of a ship that I think the original idea with the Caterpillar, if I'm remembering correctly, was that you would use the big beam to get things close to the bays, and then there would be another one inside that pulled them inside. But then you need two people. Which maybe isn't a big deal, but yeah.
Well, and
Prospectors are kind of different because the tractor beam is actually built into the mining beam array apparatus thing.
Yeah.
And it's not it is it's only sort of faking it, if you know what I mean. It doesn't have any collision to worry about with the Prospector. It's kind of a different thing in my mind.
It's going into a tube, and the tube goes into a container, and that's right.
Yeah,
that's how
you avoid a lot of problems with collision that occur with tractor beams.
I don't know. I think that they're going to have to give that.
Somebody's going to blow up their ship trying to tractor a piece of like garbage into it.
Yep. I think that they are going to need to give more ships the ability to tractor things more easily into their cargo holds. Agreed. Because that would be, honestly, like, if we're talking like Star Citizen is real life, well, guess what the number one request from a freelancer owner would be? I want to get rid of my back-mounted turret, and I want to put in a back-mounted tractor beam to speed up
on the inside of the cargo bay instead, that hangs down from the roof, that can tractor things in. Yeah, for sure.
Like, that would be, everyone would want that, because You want to be able to do deliveries quickly to get more deliveries done.
And to be fair, the rear-mounted turret in the
It's
Freelancer
horrible.
were useless.
It's completely useless.
Oh, but yeah, it's. I do think that once tractor beams are real, you'll see a lot of ships sort of subtly redesigned to make better use of them. But should be interesting for sure.
I hope so. I hope that they're like building up more ship teams to start going about doing those fixings, like fixing the things that, like, yeah, the Aurora has needed an update for a long time because it doesn't really fit the gameplay of the game anymore. The Freelancer needs a rework because it doesn't really fit the gameplay of the game anymore, you know?
Yeah, well.
Part of the problem with having an 8-year development and developing ships the entire time is...
We were worried for a long time that there were going to be too many ships, that there weren't going to be enough ships, and now we have like 130 ships.
It's true. It's true.
Now they have to maintain them all. Oh, man. Funny. But yes, there are definitely some that... there are lots of ships that need reworks.
The Two-fer needs a giant...
Yep.
I mean, it should have a giant tractor beam on the outside, 1, to put stuff into its cargo hold, but 2, to be able to take off the fuel pods and put on new ones, right?
Yep.
Like I think almost any ship you think of should have,
except combat ships.
Anything non-combat needs to be able to tractor beam stuff into its hold.
Yep, if it has a hold.
Yep. And like the Vanguard doesn't need one, right? It's more of a combat ship. Yes, it's got a bit of space that you could store stuff, but you'll have to go out and get it. But like I said, the Caterpillar,
I agree, Dan. I don't dislike the Cutter, but it does mean with the Cutter existing, the Aurora and the Mustang should both be better ships.
Yeah. Speaking of, the Cutter should have a little tractor beam on the back. Like, I don't know, everything should. That's my rant of the day, is everything should be able to more easily get cargo into it. I think one of the worst, my least favorite thing about Star Citizen right now is,
oh man,
it's dumb. It's like, okay, I've done this mission and there's all these weapons here. Let me pick them up one by one with a tractor beam to move them to the elevator, and then one by one move them out of the elevator. No, you know what? You know how many guns I could carry in my hands? Like at least 3.
At least. Probably many more than that. If you were looting, if you really wanted to carry as much as you could, a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if they had straps that you could put them over your shoulders.
Yeah. 18 on one arm, 127 on the other arm, and 32 on my head. I don't know.
On your head. Wow.
Yeah.
That would be painful.
Yeah. Anyway, game needs to allow for better, easier looting. Up my butt.
And that would be okay. Like that would be a really interesting thing too, like a gameplay thing where you could be like, yes, I want to carry a whole bunch of stuff, but now you are maybe a little bit slower and you can't shoot. You know? Because you're carrying a bunch of shit.
I maintain that duffel bags is the best idea. Portable duffel bags.
I think duffel bags is a great idea.
That you can you can have like 2 or 3 duffel bags in your inventory, but they're like compressed, because you can compress an empty duffel bag and then you put it out, you fit 20 guns into a duffel bag, you zip it up, and then you carry it. But if you want to take a weapon out, you have to drop it.
Yep.
Right?
Or you can only use a pistol, because of course you could use a pistol with the other hand.
Or you could carry 2 and then you have to drop them. Like,
Yep.
That would solve so many problems. Please, please, CIG, don't limit us to just cargo crates. I know that you're doing everything cargo crate style, but cargo crates are dumb because you still have to tractor beam them. We are humans. We have arms. We can use them. We have for a long time. Humans built the pyramids without tractor beams, regardless of what the guy on Ancient Aliens says. We can do this.
Chris Roberts is watching this probably for the first time in his life, going, "All right, we better fire up the performance capture. Somebody get us some duffel bags."
Oh, sorry, Ancient Apocalypse now. Right.
Oh my god.
What a downturn for that channel. Like I remember loving History Channel when I was young and like watching
And TLC. Remember TLC? You know what its name was? The Learning Channel. How long has it been since that it had anything to do with what they were showing?
It's such the Learning Channel.
Well,
Antiques Roadshow 97. We open up a bunch of storage compartments and see what's inside. I hate reality television.
anyway, Star Citizen.
Yeah, Vulture commercial. Let's go back over here. Let me open this up.
Vulture.
Let me wait, where'd I go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd I go? Here it is. Star Citizen Drake Vulture. Ah, yes. This is such a good commercial. Holy crap. Like they're getting so good at this. Also, I really want to fly through one of these and salvage it in game. Like that's gonna be
so
spectacular.
Exciting. It's gonna be so cool to have like huge player like based battles and have like a swarm of vultures just like hanging around on the outside of it, waiting to like get.
My apologies. We're only seeing half of it here. Let's do that. It's ultra wide. Let me restart it. Sorry. This is what happens when I do things on the fly. Thanks, Jarge.
What are you doing to flies?
The Reclaimer's arm. I like that they show the Reclaimer's arm for a second there.
Oh, it's so cool watching the claw arm reach out and grab something. That's amazing.
There's the munchies.
Can I operate the claw arm on your Reclaimer?
Absolutely.
Amazing. There's the munchies. Okay. I see the munchies.
Like this. There should be a tractor beam in the back of that vulture.
So we've...
What was that?
At this point, we've pretty much gotta... We gotta figure at some point they're gonna let us cut up ships, right? In order to fit all the pieces into the munchie compartments.
Thanks for the subscription, Stargate Command. Yeah, Darj, I don't blame you for going through this video frame by frame. It is phenomenal.
There's amazing stuff in here. It's like the cockpit of a freelancer, the giant arm on the Reclaimer.
The little, I like the munchies on the vulture are so cute. Look at them. Look at them spin. They're so cute.
They're so tiny.
No, this is just great. And
what a great
commercial. Like it's still really, really early, but what they're doing with salvage here, it gives so much potential for the future of Star Citizen. With like, it was almost included like a throwaway in the Vulture, the being able to like 3D print certain objects from the stuff that you salvaged. But I really think that that's going to be an essential part of survival in Star Citizen, is the ability to 3D print structures and things as we get, as we get the survival gameplay of Star Citizen in, um, the game is stupid. Okay.
Hmm. Also, this really gives you a good hint into. I know we say this occasionally, but and have said it before. But when you see them make stuff like this, it really gives you a good insight into exactly what we're going to be getting with Squadron, and
Yeah.
like with the quality of their video production and stuff. Like Squadron's going to be amazing.
It's going to be really good. The only problem that I'm having now is after I think it was GDC this week, after seeing the faces in Senua Hellblade 2,
Oh,
like
yeah.
those
Faces in
faces,
the faces in Squadron will be good enough.
they'll be good enough, but they're like that face in Senua Hellblade is
Insane.
just insane.
They also have the
Unreal.
they also have the literally. They also have a UE5 to work with.
Yeah. UE5 is going to we're just starting to see UE5 games come out. The very first couple.
Once developers really get a good handle on UE5 and what it can do, another few years, you're going to see some amazing stuff coming out of there.
Yeah. It's not a new trailer, Dan, but it's a sort of a it's a bit of the facial capture, and it's just it literally blows my mind. But yeah, like once developers
there is an actual video. It's called the official Unreal 5 MetaHuman demo.
Yeah. No, don't, Dan, I don't blame you. It's outstanding. Unreal 5 is going to usher in a lot for video games.
I just
even I'm trying to use
I
it.
was trying.
Even I'm trying to use it, and it's lovely. That said, I can't wait to see what CAG are able to do with sorry, with SC and Squadron.
Yep.
Yeah.
But all the oh man, it's so cool to see this stuff come along so well, their vision for salvage is like it's gonna be fun.
Yep. It already is.
It already is, but I mean, like, if you think about the end game where you can hull scrape the ship, take off all the components, and go and explore it, probably get eaten by an intergalactic spider, and then cut up the ship and munch it, like, oh, can't wait.
The thing that I find more interesting is so that trailer that we just watched is a really good example of what we're likely to actually see in game when like someone finds a destroyed Idris or a destroyed Bengal, and it's like one person in a vulture is never going to be able to salvage it all.
No,
period.
not even
right.
It would take you like 100 trips back and forth to spaceport.
More even, because the vulture can't even carry that much. But like you're going to need you're gonna sell that beacon to a whole bunch of people, and people will show up in reclaimers and vultures, and there's going to be like dozens of people salvaging an Idris, and then you're gonna have like some territorial battles as people are like, no, I'm salvaging this part, and you like
totally. And well, think about this too. You're gonna have parts on something like an Idris, right? There's gonna be some parts, some components that are extremely valuable. And you're gonna see people who don't have salvage ships, yep, come flying up. Somebody in like a freelancer, and they're just gonna jump out of their ship and try and get inside, and they're only there for one thing. They want to get the like the shield generator, which is worth like 1 million credits or something. That's all they want. They want to grab the shield generator so they can go sell it, and it'll make them a bunch of money. Well, and there'll be 4 other people in the ship, and they'll get into a fight.
Well, and even more interesting, and CIG haven't talked about this at all yet, but I'm positive it's going to be in, because ships are pressurized.
Yep.
And even if you've got a destroyed Idris, you're probably going to have sections of the Idris that are still pressurized, which,
Scary stuff.
again, go play Hard Space Shipbreaker and see what happens when you depressurize a compartment. And like there are going to be ways to deal with that, and you're going to have to figure out ways to get into these pressurized compartments, because those pressurized compartments are still sealed, and all of the like the hardware and stuff in them is probably like undamaged, because like there's so much that they can do, and so much, like you said, like freelancers could show up and try and steal shit, and you might have pirates show up and try and like take out some of the miners or the salvagers and steal their components and steal that's like there's so much gameplay possible just from CIG saying, yeah, here's a derelict Idris, go.
Mhm. Yep. And normally that would be sort of like a limited experience if they had to basically do it themselves. But since you can see that their plan that is already started but will be continuing into the future is to basically allow every player rec to supplement the bespoke recs.
Yeah.
You end up with more content than you can possibly consume for as a salvager, because there's just stuff everywhere to salvage. And
There
that's
will
cool
be.
too, because then there won't be like these areas in the game where this is a safe area to salvage, this is a not safe area to salvage. There should be areas basically wherever you are, as long as players are around there from time to time. There will be stuff. You can
Yeah.
go to some hidden backwater and do your salvaging if you're getting chased around by people. So that's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's
Potential is there.
yeah. Yeah, and Eluk, that's a good point as well, because you'll have vultures that are just sitting there and salvaging, and you'll have this for prospectors when you find a particularly large asteroid as well, that, well, I'm full, someone come pick up my stuff, because I'm not heading back to back to a station to sell my stuff and then back out here. Cargo, like a cargo ship, will come along, and you might get someone in like a hull B or something that says, okay, I will pay this much to each of you for your full crates of salvage, and he's gonna pay a little bit less than market, and those vultures are gonna know that he's paying a bit less than market, but they can keep salvaging if they sell it and dump it, and he'll grab them and he can head back, right? Like,
Totally. No, it's true. We've talked for a long time about the perfect. They set up a perfect synergy between the prospector and the hull B as well.
yep.
Because the prospector can dump its cargo. Its mining bags. After they're full, and it has a bunch of like spare replacements on board, and you can get more spare replacements if you want. And so you can sit out there and mine and just pop off mining containers as you go, and have one of your buddies in a hull B who's just picking them up and carrying them back to a refinery. Like
Yep.
it's such a cool way to do things, and it makes it easier to make a game like this more naturally multiplayer.
We've only got like a couple minutes, 10 minutes ish left here. We're not gonna try and hop into 318 right now, because we're just about done. But something that we've been saying, or a comparison that we've been making for a long time, I know I've been making for a long time, and I used to make it with Jake quite often, is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is one of the best video games ever made, because it just created systems.
Yep.
And then let you play in those systems.
Mm-hmm.
What happens
No,
when you
it's-
set grass on fire? Oh, it spreads and sets the enemies on fire and burns the crates, and then the insides of the crates get cooked, and you end up with cooked fish and apples popping out. Like it was gamified and kiddified a bit, but it was still just systems that they built that you get to enjoy.
we really got to see in depth about how much they're trying to do that with Star Citizen with a couple of recent I'm talking about in the last year or so. But all their videos about fire,
Yeah.
and it's not like, oh, there's fire in your ship. It's, oh, there was an ignition source, and each of these things is made out of this material, and this material has this like heat capacity, and it will light on fire at this temperature. Like, this is how heat transfers between different things in a room, and, and oh, also the fire consumes the oxygen in the room, so if you run out of oxygen, then you're gonna die. If you don't have a spacesuit on. Like, and that is what really has the potential to put Star Citizen into like legendary game territory, is if all of those systems work well, and you can just play around with them and do interesting things with how the game systems work. um it'll be what we hope it'll be. I'll put it that way. That's probably a good way to put it.
Yep. I'm not. I am not, and I don't think I've ever been worried that Star Citizen will become what we think it needs to become. What I think it needs to be has changed significantly over the last 8 years. Like when Star Citizen started, we thought it was going to be like a freelancer, like, right? You're stuck in your ship. There's some landing zones. You might not even walk around in landing zone. Like, it wasn't until I don't remember what million it was, but where they said that one of the one of the pledging rewards for everyone having put in so much money was a pistol. It wasn't until that pistol that anyone was like, oh wait, is this going to be an FPS?
Yeah. Wait a second. Why do we need
right?
a pistol?
it was, I think the description was like a pistol to defend yourself from boarding actions, and then you're like, oh wait, are we going to be able to have boarding actions in this game? Are we going to be able to board other ships? Like what we have understood Star Citizen to be has shifted so much over the last 8 years. But I think it's really solidified in the last probably three years. I think we know what Star Citizen's going to be, and I can't wait for it to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing. Here it is. It's very early on. It was actually during the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And it was the $5 million mark. Enhanced boarding options, melee combat, heavy weapons, zero gravity simulation, HUD suit HUD options, and EVA combat. Wait, what?
Yep. But that came out at 5 million. Before 5 million, we had no idea. Like, that wasn't a thing.
Oh, they're
right?
really going for it now. Yeah, and even then, after that point, there was still a big question on, like, for landing zones on planets, like exactly how far they'd be able to go. Because at the time, games didn't do huge areas. It wasn't really a thing. It wasn't until our lovely friends over in Germany went, no, we can do the whole planet. It's no problem.
Yeah. Well, at all points, they were like, you'll be able to land in like maybe 3 or 4 spots on the planet. You might have like a city. You might be able to land on like a large terrain that you'd have like large terrain, but it'd be like this static terrain thing. And then Germany came along and we're like, no, we'll just do procedural planets because we can do that. Right? And it was just...
then accidentally rebooted Squadron 42.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Right. Oopsies. You know what? I genuinely don't think that it added any time.
Man. Dan,
Yeah.
it was mind blowing.
Yep.
People to
But-
Planet was amazing.
But seriously, I don't actually think that they added that much time by doing procedural planets, because
We'll never
procedural
really
planets. Yeah, but procedural planets are done. You know what's still not done? Is AI. You can't tell me that they would have been done AI
I
if
can
they
tell
hadn't
you,
had to.
you don't have to believe me.
I don't think they'd be done AI even if they had procedural planets.
It's possible. But I mean, it's hard to tell, right? Because you can shift focus heavily, and you can be like, we need to do AI now, like 3 years ago, if you know what I mean. I can't say definitively; it'd be impossible to say. But regardless, I do think Squadron's going to be a great game because of all of the improvements they've made.
Yep.
So as long as it's a great game, I don't care how long it is.
I will also say, I hope it's someday we find out, because I believe somewhere in there in that Kickstarter list is a documentary. There's supposed to be a documentary.
It's supposed to be about Star Citizen.
There's supposed to be.
About Squadron.
I hope they do it. I hope they do it about Star Citizen and the development of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. I mean, after Squadron 42 would probably be the best time to do a documentary.
It was the $14 million goal. Professional quality feature length behind the scenes of Star Citizen documentary film.
Yeah.
I do think that now is like a 15-part miniseries, and each episode is 2 hours long.
If they're not shopping that as a miniseries to like Netflix or someone, then they're doing it wrong. Seriously. Like that would be a phenomenal docuseries. Anyway.
I wonder if they've forgotten at any point. I wonder how many. I kind of think they haven't.
I feel like they have to have a list.
Can you imagine being the guy who's like, so here's our like 10 years of video footage from development. Have fun.
Yeah. By the way, we put out, 2 to 3 shows a week every week for the last 8 years.
Yeah. Have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Anyway, it is now 10:30.
That's the rumor. And it depends what time zone you're in, David.
It does depend on the time zone. It does. I'm sorry. It is 10:30 to me, which means it's time for me to
Darge is
go.
turning into a pumpkin, I think.
Darge is turning into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
Seriously, thank you all for hanging out again and listening to us blather and watching. Yep.
We'll
Eric,
get some
thanks for being
gameplay
on.
in soon. As soon as the next week we won't have 2 episodes to go through, and
yeah,
and 318 will be more stable. So we'll jump back into the game.
Yeah, we'll play some Star Citizen next week. So join us next Saturday. Same ship time, same ship channel. Dan, thanks for being up at 4:30 in the morning and watching. And go watch the Senua's face video, because dear Lord, cannot wait for that game. Game Pass.
It's going to be amazing.
And,
yet another benefit of Game Pass.
Yeah, and just remember, very soon, hopefully, we will stream Starship's launch. And also just remember that last week the IPCC came out with a summary report on climate change, stating that humanity has 10 years to significantly change what we're doing and increase our fight against climate change, or we will very likely go extinct as a species.
I really don't buy that. But
I do.
Humans are the most adaptable species in the world. We'll be out there with our
we won't go extinct, but we will lose 6 or 7 billion people.
It'll just be us, like 18 guys and a cockroach, and that'll be
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, if it's only 18 guys, sorry, they're still gonna go extinct.
Well, the 18 women are, in the other bunker.
Oh, okay. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Love you all, and
Bye,
goodbye.